An emotional English story for learning English. My name is Rachel, and I am 42 years old. Today, as I sit alone in my small apartment, looking at old photographs, I think about my life and the choices I made. This is my story, a story about love, mistakes, pain, and finding myself again. It is a story I never thought I would tell, but I believe others need to hear it. Maybe my story will help someone make better choices than I did. I grew up in a small town where everyone knew everyone. My parents owned a bakery, and our house always smelled like fresh bread and cookies. I was an only child, so my parents gave me all their love and attention. My father was a kind man who worked hard every day. My mother was gentle and always made sure I was happy. They had a good marriage. I never heard them fight or say mean things to each other. They showed me what love should look like. Or so I thought. When I was young, I was a dreamer. I loved reading romance novels and watching love stories on television. I believed in fairy tales. I believed that somewhere out there was a perfect man who would love me forever, who would make all my dreams come true. I believed that love could solve any problem. I was so innocent, so foolish. I was a good student in school. I had many friends, and I was happy. But I was never interested in the boys in my town. They seemed too simple, too ordinary. I wanted something more, something exciting. I wanted adventure and passion. I wanted a love story, like the ones I read about in my books. When I turned 18, I went to the city to study at the university. It was the first time I had left my small town. Everything in the city was big and bright and fast. I was excited and scared at the same time. I studied business management because my parents wanted me to have a good career. But my heart was not really in my studies. I was more interested in experiencing life, meeting new people, and maybe finding love. In my second year at university, I met him. His name was Daniel. He was 25 years old, 7 years older than me. He was not a student. He worked at a restaurant near the campus. I went to that restaurant with my friends one evening, and Daniel was our waiter. He was tall and handsome, with dark hair and green eyes that seemed to look right into my soul. When he smiled at me, my heart stopped beating for a moment. Daniel was different from anyone I had ever met. He was confident and charming. He knew how to talk to people, how to make them laugh, how to make them feel special. After that first night, I started going to the restaurant more often, hoping to see him. And he noticed me too. He would always come to my table, always find time to talk to me, always make me feel like I was the only girl in the world. After a few weeks, Daniel asked me out on a date. I said yes immediately. I was so excited I could not sleep the night before. Our first date was magical. He took me to a beautiful park by the river. We walked and talked for hours. He told me about his life, about his dreams of owning his own business someday. He told me he had grown up poor, that he had worked hard for everything he had. He said he wanted more from life, that he was ambitious and determined to succeed. I fell in love with Daniel that night. Maybe I was in love even before that. He was everything I had dreamed of: handsome, exciting, ambitious. He made me feel alive in a way I had never felt before. When he kissed me under the stars that night, I knew I would love him forever. We started dating seriously. I spent all my free time with Daniel. My studies became less important. My friends complained that I never saw them anymore. But I did not care. I was in love, and nothing else mattered. Daniel became my whole world. But there were signs I should have noticed, signs I should have paid attention to. Daniel had a temper. Sometimes, when things did not go his way, he would get angry. He would shout and throw things. The first time it happened, I was shocked. We were at his apartment, and he was stressed about work. His boss had criticized him for something, and Daniel was furious. He punched the wall so hard that his hand bled. I was scared, but he apologized immediately. He held me and said he was sorry, that he would never hurt me, that work was just very stressful. I forgave him. I told myself that everyone gets angry sometimes, that it was not a big deal. I told myself that his difficult childhood had made him this way, that he just needed love and support to change. I believed I could help him, that my love could make him better. There were other signs, too. Daniel was jealous. If I talked to another man, even just a classmate, about schoolwork, Daniel would get upset. He would ask me questions. Who was that person? Why was I talking to him? Did I like him more than Daniel? At first, I thought his jealousy was romantic. I thought it meant he loved me so much that he could not stand the thought of losing me. I did not understand that jealousy is not love, it is control. Daniel also did not like my friends. He said they were bad influences, that they were trying to turn me against him. Slowly, I stopped seeing my friends. When they invited me out, I would make excuses. I told myself I was choosing love over friendship, that real love required sacrifice. I did not realize I was becoming isolated. After we had been dating for a year, Daniel proposed to me. We were having dinner at an expensive restaurant. He got down on one knee and pulled out a ring. Everyone in the restaurant was watching. I was so surprised, so happy. I said yes without thinking. This was what I had always wanted, to be loved, to be chosen, to have someone want to spend their life with me. My parents were not happy about the engagement. When I told them about Daniel, they were worried. They said I was too young, that I should finish university first, that I barely knew this man. My father asked questions about Daniel's family, his job, his future plans. I got angry with my parents. I thought they did not understand true love. I thought they were old-fashioned and controlling. I told them I was going to marry Daniel whether they approved or not. Looking back now, I wish I had listened to my parents. They could see what I could not see. They could see the danger I was walking into. But I was young and stubborn and blinded by what I thought was love. Daniel and I got married 6 months later. I was 20 years old. The wedding was small because my parents refused to pay for it. They came to the wedding, but I could see the sadness in their eyes. My mother cried, and I thought she was crying from happiness. Now I know she was crying because she knew I was making a terrible mistake. After the wedding, everything changed. It was like Daniel became a different person. The charming, romantic man I had fallen in love with disappeared. In his place was someone angry, controlling, and mean. We moved into a small apartment in a not very nice part of the city. Daniel said it was all we could afford. He was still working at the restaurant, but he never seemed to have enough money. I had dropped out of university to marry him, so I did not have a degree or a good job. I found work at a supermarket as a cashier. The pay was low, but I gave every penny to Daniel. He controlled all the money. He said it was his job as the husband to manage our finances. I was not allowed to buy anything without asking Daniel first. If I wanted new clothes or shoes, I had to beg him for money. Usually he would say no. He would say we could not afford it, that I was being selfish and wasteful. But somehow Daniel always had money for cigarettes and beer. He started drinking more and more. Every night, he would come home from work and drink until he fell asleep. When Daniel drank, he became cruel. He would criticize everything about me, my appearance, my cooking, my intelligence. He said I was stupid for dropping out of university. He said I was ugly and fat and lucky that he had married me, because no one else would want me. His words hurt more than any physical pain could hurt. They cut deep into my soul and made me believe I was worthless. I tried to be a good wife. I cooked his favorite meals, kept the apartment clean, never complained. I thought if I was perfect, Daniel would love me again like he did before we got married. But nothing I did was ever good enough. He always found something to criticize, something to be angry about. The first time Daniel hit me, we had been married for 8 months. He came home drunk and angry. His boss had given his shift to another waiter, so he had lost money. He started yelling at me, saying it was my fault because I spent too much on groceries. I tried to explain that I had only bought what we needed, but he did not want to listen. He grabbed my arm so hard that it bruised. Then he pushed me, and I fell against the table. I was shocked. I started crying and asked him why he did that. He looked at me with cold eyes and said, "Maybe now you will learn to shut up and listen." I should have left that night. I should have called my parents or the police. But I did not. I was ashamed. I was embarrassed. How could I tell anyone that my marriage was a disaster after only 8 months? What would people say? What would my parents say? They had warned me, and I had not listened. I could not face them. So I stayed. I told myself it was just one time, that he was drunk and stressed, that it would not happen again. But it did happen again. And again. And again. Daniel's violence became part of our daily life. Sometimes he would hit me because he was angry about work. Sometimes he would hit me because dinner was not ready on time. Sometimes he would hit me for no reason at all, just because he wanted to. I learned to walk on eggshells, to be careful about everything I said and did, to try to predict his moods and avoid making him angry. I stopped going out. I stopped calling my parents. I became a prisoner in my own home. Daniel checked my phone, read my messages, wanted to know where I was every minute of the day. If I was 5 minutes late coming home from work, he would accuse me of having an affair. The jealousy that I once thought was romantic had become a nightmare. 2 years into our marriage, I became pregnant. When I found out, I had mixed feelings. Part of me was happy. Maybe a baby would change Daniel, make him kinder, give us a reason to be a real family. But another part of me was terrified. How could I bring a child into this terrible situation? What kind of life could I give a baby when I could barely survive myself? When I told Daniel about the pregnancy, he was not happy. He said we could not afford a baby, that I was stupid for getting pregnant. He wanted me to get rid of it. But I refused. This was my baby, and I would protect it no matter what. For the first time in 2 years, I stood up to Daniel. I said I was keeping the baby, and he could not stop me. Daniel was angry, but he did not force me. During my pregnancy, he actually became a little nicer. He still drank and still said mean things, but he stopped hitting me. I thought maybe things were finally getting better. I thought maybe becoming a father would change him. Our daughter Emily was born on a cold winter morning. When the nurse put her in my arms, I felt love like I had never felt before. She was perfect, tiny and beautiful with big blue eyes. In that moment, I made a promise to myself and to her. I promised that I would protect her, that I would give her a better life, that I would not let Daniel hurt her the way he hurt me. For the first few months, Daniel was actually a decent father. He would hold Emily and talk to her. He seemed proud to have a daughter. I started to hope that maybe our family could work, that maybe love could still save us. Before we start, we'd love for you to watch the story carefully and, at the end, rate it from 1 to 10 in the comments. Your opinion helps us understand what kind of stories you enjoy and guides us to create even better content for you. But that hope did not last long. As Emily grew older and started crying more, needing more attention, Daniel's patience ran out. He started complaining that the baby was too loud, that she never slept, that I was spending all my time with her and ignoring him. He started drinking heavily again. And then the violence started again. But now Daniel was not just hurting me, he was hurting both of us. He would yell at Emily when she cried. He would grab her roughly when he changed her diaper. I lived in constant fear. I stayed awake at night watching over Emily, ready to protect her if Daniel became violent. I knew I had to do something. I could accept Daniel hurting me, but I could not accept him hurting my daughter. When Emily was 1 year old, I made a decision. I had to leave. I did not care what people thought. I did not care about failing or being embarrassed. I had to protect my child. I started making a plan. I secretly saved small amounts of money, a few dollars here and there from grocery shopping. I hid the money in Emily's diaper bag where Daniel would never look. It took months to save enough for a bus ticket and a security deposit on a small apartment. I also reached out to my parents. I had not talked to them properly in 3 years. I was so ashamed, so afraid they would be angry with me or say, "I told you so." But when I called my mother and told her everything about the abuse, the control, the fear, she did not judge me. She just cried and said, "Come home, Rachel. Come home right now." But I could not go home. Daniel knew where my parents lived. If I went there, he would come after me. I needed to go somewhere he would not think to look. My mother gave me the phone number of her sister, my Aunt Linda, who lived in another city, 3 hours away. Aunt Linda said I could stay with her for as long as I needed. One Tuesday morning, when Emily was 18 months old, I left. Daniel had gone to work early. I packed one bag with clothes for Emily and me. I took the money I had saved. I took my important documents, and I walked out of that apartment. My hands were shaking. My heart was pounding. I was terrified that Daniel would come back and catch me. But he did not. I got on the bus with Emily, and we left. The bus ride was the longest 3 hours of my life. I kept looking behind me, expecting to see Daniel. I held Emily close to me, whispering to her that everything would be okay, that we were going to be safe now. She did not understand what was happening, but she must have felt my fear because she was very quiet. Aunt Linda was waiting for us at the bus station. When I saw her kind face, I started crying. She hugged me tight and said, "You are safe now. You are home." We went to her house, a small but comfortable place with a garden. She showed me a room where Emily and I could sleep. That night, for the first time in years, I slept peacefully. I knew Daniel could not find us here. But leaving Daniel was just the beginning. The next months were incredibly hard. Daniel called my parents' house constantly, demanding to know where I was. He sent threatening messages. He said he would find me, that I belonged to him, that I could not just leave. My father wanted to call the police, but I was too scared. I thought if Daniel got in trouble, he would be even more angry and dangerous. I filed for divorce. I also filed for a restraining order, which meant Daniel was not allowed to come near me or Emily. The legal process was long and painful. I had to tell strangers, lawyers, judges, about all the horrible things Daniel had done to me. I had to show them the scars on my body. I had to relive all the trauma. But I did it because I knew it was necessary. During this time, Aunt Linda took care of us. She gave us a home, food, and love. She helped me take care of Emily. She encouraged me to see a therapist to help me heal from the trauma. At first, I did not want to go to therapy. I thought I could just forget about the past and move on. But Aunt Linda insisted, and I am so glad she did. Therapy was hard. I had to face all the pain I had been holding inside for years. I had to understand why I stayed with Daniel for so long, why I accepted the abuse, why I thought I deserved to be treated that way. My therapist helped me see that I was not weak or stupid. She helped me understand that Daniel had manipulated and controlled me, that what happened was not my fault. Slowly, I started to forgive myself. I also started to rebuild my life. I got a job at a bookstore. It did not pay much, but I loved working with books. My coworkers were kind people who became my friends. I enrolled in night classes to finish my degree. It would take years, but I was determined. I wanted to build a good life for Emily and for myself. The divorce was finalized when Emily was 3 years old. The judge gave me full custody because of Daniel's history of violence. Daniel was allowed to see Emily only under supervised visits, which meant he could only see her with a social worker present. But Daniel never came to those visits. I think his pride was hurt. He did not want to admit he had done anything wrong. Or maybe he just did not care enough about Emily to make the effort. Either way, we never saw him again. Emily grew up happy and healthy. She was a bright, cheerful child who loved to laugh and play. She did not remember the bad times when she was a baby. I was grateful for that. I wanted her to have a childhood full of happiness, not fear. Aunt Linda was like a grandmother to her. My parents visited often, and Emily loved spending time with them. As for me, I was healing. It was a slow process. Some days were good, and some days were hard. I still had nightmares sometimes. I still flinched if someone raised their voice. I still struggled to trust people. But I was getting better. I was learning to love myself again, to believe that I deserved good things, to know that I was strong. When I was 30 years old, I met someone new. His name was James. He was a teacher at Emily's school. He was nothing like Daniel. He was gentle, patient, and kind. He treated me with respect. He listened when I talked. He never tried to control me or make me feel small. At first, I was scared to date him. I did not trust my own judgment about men anymore. What if I made another mistake? What if James was secretly like Daniel? But James was patient with me. He understood that I had been hurt before. He did not push me or rush me. He let me take things at my own pace. Slowly, I learned to trust him. Slowly, I opened my heart again. Emily loved James too. He was kind to her, played games with her, helped her with her homework. He treated her like she was precious. James and I dated for 3 years before we got married. This time, I was not a naive young girl blinded by romance. I was a grown woman who knew what real love looked like. Real love was not jealousy and control. Real love was not words without actions. Real love was respect, kindness, patience, and support. James showed me real love every single day. Our wedding was beautiful. My parents were there, smiling and happy. Aunt Linda cried tears of joy. Emily was our flower girl, beautiful in her pink dress. This time, I was not marrying because I was desperate to be loved. I was marrying because I had found someone who truly loved me and whom I truly loved. James and I had a son together. We named him Michael. Emily was 10 years old when her brother was born, and she was the best big sister. Our home was full of love and laughter. James was an amazing father to both children. He never treated Emily differently even though she was not his biological daughter. He loved her as his own. Life was not perfect. We had problems like any family. Money was sometimes tight, the kids fought sometimes, James and I disagreed about things sometimes. But we worked through our problems together. We talked, we listened, we compromised. We never screamed or threw things or said cruel words to hurt each other. This was what a healthy marriage looked like. Now I am 42 years old. Emily is 20 years old and in university, studying to become a doctor. She is smart, confident, and strong. She knows her worth. She will never let anyone treat her the way Daniel treated me. Michael is 12 years old, kind and gentle like his father. James and I have been married for 12 years, and I love him more now than I did on our wedding day. Sometimes I think about Daniel. I heard through someone that he married again, and then divorced again. I heard he never changed, that he is still angry and violent. I feel sorry for him in a way. He will never know real love or happiness because he is too full of anger and hate. But mostly, I do not think about him. He is part of my past, not my present or my future. I do regret marrying Daniel. I regret the years I wasted with him. I regret the pain and the fear. I regret that Emily's early life was touched by violence, even though she does not remember it. But I do not regret leaving him. That was the bravest thing I ever did. And I do not regret the journey I have been on since then. My painful past made me who I am today, a strong, independent woman who knows her worth, who can protect herself and her children, who can love and be loved in a healthy way. If there is anyone reading my story who is in a situation like I was, please listen to me. If someone is hurting you physically or emotionally, it is not love. If someone controls you, isolates you from friends and family, makes you feel worthless, that is not love. Real love does not hurt. Real love does not destroy. Real love builds you up, supports you, respects you. And please know this, you can leave. I know it is scary. I know you might feel trapped or helpless or ashamed. I know you might worry about money or what people will think or whether you can survive alone. But you can do it. I did it, and I was young and scared and had nothing. If I could do it, you can too. Reach out to someone, family, friends, a helpline, a shelter. There are people who will help you. You do not have to suffer alone. Your life can get better. You can heal. You can find happiness again. You deserve love that is kind and gentle and safe. You deserve respect. You deserve peace. Do not waste your life with someone who makes you feel small. Life is too short and too precious. Yes, I regret marrying Daniel, but I do not regret who I have become. I am a survivor. I am strong. I am loved. And I am finally truly happy. This is my story. I hope it helps someone out there make better choices than I did. I hope it gives someone the courage to leave a bad situation. I hope it reminds someone that there is always hope, always a chance for a better life. Remember, you are worthy of love. Real love. The kind that heals, not the kind that hurts. Now that you've seen the whole story, we would really appreciate it if you rate it from 1 to 10 in the comments. Your thoughts help us improve and make sure we bring you the kind of stories you truly enjoy.